Listen, don't piss Candace off. She'll find shit about you that you didn't even know existed. Like that girl can research.
But if you're still under mind control, you are not responsible for your actions.
No, it's the Manchurian candidate situation, right? You can know every conspiracy in the world, but if you treat people terribly, you're not a good person. Knowledge doesn't make you a good person. Your character does. Don't forget your humanity. Just in this growing awakening, every human life matters. And if you think your issue, like you if you're so, trust me, we all want the people on the Epstein emails to be arrested ASAP. All of us, not one person doesn't want that. We all want that. But in the meantime, we have other things going on and it affects other human lives. And we have to, if we're so selfish that we're going to discredit or disregard other experiences, then we're no better than the people we claim to be fighting against. And so we can hold two things. We can hold our want for this to happen, but also honor other human life. And just because something might be a psyop does not mean that other people weren't affected. 20 minutes a day could help you feel steadier on your feet, more flexible, and more confident in your body. At Fusion Body Studio, we are starting a new series for elderly exercise. These are videos that are designed with care, safety, and real-life movement in mind. They aren't intense workouts like our other videos. They're workouts that are focused on improving balance to help prevent falls, strengthening muscles that support your hips and knees, increasing circulation, and keeping your joints moving comfortably. And the best part, you can move at your own pace in the comfort of your own home. A little consistency goes a long way. Stronger legs, better posture, more energy for the things that you love. And it's never too late to build strength. It's never too late to move. Join us today at Fusion Body Studio and use discount code Catherine5 at checkout for 20% off your first 6 months. Your body was made to move, and we're here to help you keep moving safely and confidently.
Right, welcome back, everyone. You'll be glad to see we're color coordinated. This always happens completely. We don't say what we're going to wear. But I am back for our weekly coffee chat with my bestie Brice across the pond from Esoteric Atlanta. We've got quite a few new listeners, so these coffee chats are literally, as the name, it's the clues in the name. We are not pretending we know anything. We're just picking what's current and topical. Sometimes they're serious areas, sometimes they're less serious and a bit more fun. And we're just discussing with you, the audience, as if you're here with us. So please do interact in the comments. What we're feeling and what's coming up for us and what we're learning and how we're evolving through this journey of life. So how you doing, Brice?
Well, I've risen from the dead. I apologize if I cough a little bit, guys. I was telling you, Catherine, last week, I haven't been this sick in a long time. I haven't had a cough like this in a long time, and I forgot how painful coughs
Yeah.
actually are. So if you're sick as well, I think it's going around. Get well soon. But it's funny you say because I think we were laughing off camera what we're going to talk about. I was like, I think most of our coffee chats, Catherine, are us going, well, guys, I messed up.
Yeah.
We're like admitting where we like messed up in our thought. And so, no, we don't have the answers, but things are happening in our world. And sometimes it's nice to not have the answers, but just to kind of talk about things. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think, today we're going to be talking about false identities, false beliefs about what is and isn't a distraction and what we even mean by that and the impact on real people's lives. And we're also going to be talking to ourselves about some of the lessons and sharing some of the lessons we've learned and how that's changing our perspective. And also asking questions of you, the audience, about certain things that have cropped up for both of us over the last couple of weeks. So where to start? Why don't we get topical? So today we're going to be talking about the Winter Olympics. We're going to be talking about the Mexico issues. We're going to be talking about Iran. We're going to be talking about Erica Kirk. So let's start with Erica Kirk. And you and I did a really powerful, we've spoken to Kathy O'Brien multiple times. Interestingly, Brice, initially for the first few years we were speaking to her, we had to just put the interviews on Rumble. The last couple of times so far we're getting away with YouTube, so that's a good sign. Lots of amazing interaction. And Kathy, for those of you that don't know, MK Ultra survivor, one of the original whistleblowers. She's sort of the Virginia Giuffre of
Yeah.
the whole MK Ultra, you know, really singing and exposing it long before anyone else did, and also been through an amazing healing journey herself. So you and I both listened to Candace's interview, not interview, new series on Erica Kirk. So what came up for you for that, and how do you think is significant for what we're all facing at the moment?
Well, first of all, Catherine, this is like Erica Kirk's situation to me is so obvious. Like, it's so obvious that there's something going on, that this is not what she's presenting to the world, is not really who she's not a good actor. She wouldn't win an Academy Award, would
Mm.
she? And it's interesting because so Candace released her first episode last night, and Todd had watched the State of the Union address. I didn't watch it. He watched it, and the one of the things he said to me was like, "She creeps me out." Like every time he sees Erica, he's like, it's like she doesn't understand human emotion, so she's
Yeah.
constantly trying to figure out like how to react to things. And I say this because if you guys haven't watched Candace's first episode, listen, don't piss Candace off. She'll find shit about you that you didn't even know existed. Like
Mm.
that girl can research. But she reads this tweet. Like, I'm sorry, I can't remember who the person was that posted it, that spoke very eloquently about I think what we're all experiencing with Erica, where a lot of people, even the ones who support her, have a hard time watching her. And I'm paraphrasing, guys, please go watch the episode. But this woman was explaining that it's like a survival instinct. When
Mm.
human emotions are not matching the circumstances, we get uncomfortable because it's our survival kicking in, because we don't want to be around psychopaths because that's dangerous. Anyway, she goes deeper in talking about, and Candace talks about this as well because she studied a lot of like modern psychology, about how a lot of her opinion, this is just theory, YouTube, this is for entertainment and educational purposes only, that a lot of this modern day therapies, you know, kind of break the mind up to turn us into psychopaths so that we're easily controlled, which is going to get into a huge topic of what we're really looking at in the world today, even on the awake side of
Yeah.
how people are behaving. And so with the Erica, the first episode, it's so funny because I've watched it like 3 times now because I really wanted to understand what Candace was saying about her family relations.
Yeah.
Um, but with Erica, it's so funny because you and I, first of all, we matched. We didn't talk about that. And then we were talking off camera, and we both had the same
Mm.
thought this morning. This is a Britney Spears situation.
Yeah.
This is a Britney Spears situation. Her mind is so fried that I don't even think, and that's what Candace even said. Candace said, I don't even think she knows that she's lying.
And I think I just want to pick up on that because that for me was such an. I've only listened to it once because it's like 11 o'clock at night that it airs in the UK. So I listened to it this morning when I was mucking out the horses. So I never actually watch the screen a lot of the time when I'm listening to stuff. But it was just like, yeah, tick, 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 tick. And look, this isn't about whether Candice is what we call controlled opposition, and we can talk about that as part of this discussion as well. But having just come off recently speaking to Kathy O'Brien again, and every time we speak to Kathy, we learn so much and understand more. For me, I really feel that it is a Britney Spears thing. I feel that her mind is so fragmented, so shattered. And I thought it was very good for whatever reason, whatever you think of Candace, that Candace brought that up because so many people just say she's evil, she's this, she's that. But if she is under mind control, which we know so many people are, and we know that MK Ultra didn't stop and new versions of it. I'll remind me to tell you about the controlling our minds with Nano because I got loads more information on that yesterday. How do you judge? Kathy has said to us loads of times, hasn't she, Brice, that you can't, yes, absolutely, lots of people go through abuse. Lots of people grow up with alcoholics, and sometimes the siblings turn into alcoholics themselves, and sometimes they go completely the opposite and stay completely clean. Same with trauma and abuse. But if you're still under mind control, you are not responsible for your actions.
No, it's the Manchurian Candidate situation,
By
right?
the way,
Where you're
your
thinking,
volume's quite low. Is your volume up?
oh,
Because
can
it's
you hear
quite,
me?
it's just a
You can
little
hear me?
bit low for me.
Hello, hello. Let me check.
Might be all right for everyone else. It just sounds lower. You normally sound quite loud to me, and you're not today. Sorry, everyone, but we want to make sure we're getting the recording quality okay.
Hello, 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 hello. Do you hear the ringtone?
Yeah, let's carry on and see. We'll just
Oh, so sorry, guys. I don't know.
that sounds a bit better.
Retrograde. It's Mercury retrograde starts today, so welcome Mercury retrograde into our lives. So, well, I'll just you and I have that in common too, Catherine. We both have hearing problems.
Exactly.
And Todd always gets mad at me because he says I speak loud, but it's because I literally can't hear. I can't hear. I've had since I was a baby. I've had major hearing problems, and
And
so
I've got two hearing aids on both ears. So I do speak really loudly. And I also, sorry for too much information, everyone, but when I'm interviewing people, if it looks on the screen that I'm looking at their mouths, not their eyes, that's because I lip read a lot. So
yeah,
just
I
being
probably
transparent with everyone about that.
I probably need hearing aids, but no, and that's why I think Catherine, you and I both kind of struggle sometimes with pronunciations of
Yeah.
foreign words. That's common for people with hearing problems.
Mhm.
So maybe I can just speak even louder now if my
Yeah.
mic's out. Because Todd's, I was like, and it's because I can't hear. I
Yeah.
really can't. I can't hear. So yeah, but with it is very true because, and that's what Candace's research has shown that it makes us think like, are psychopaths born or are they created? That's the big question I have now with Candace's research and with Erica. Maybe it's both. Maybe there are people who are born with that part of their brain disconnected, but maybe looking at everything Kathy has talked about with the brain, that
Yeah.
they can go through. And trauma is trauma. I don't want to dismiss but there is, in my mind, there's like regular abuse and then there's that.
Mm.
And these are two different. I think for regular abuse, we have a lot of ways of healing techniques, but to deal with that, where the brain is completely broken, at you guys, from the episode I gleaned from Candace, we don't even really know how old Erica
Yeah.
is. And Candace is right, all these different birth dates, this is not normal on legal documents in a first world country. Maybe in like a third world country, but in the UK, in France, in Australia, Canada, America, this is not normal to
Mm.
have this many changes of a birth. We don't even know how old she is. Like, so if we don't know, who's to say she doesn't even?
Yeah.
I do have a lot more empathy for her now. Um, Hearing what Candace had to say. So, but yeah, but
And also, I think it explains so much. And we're not saying this is all right. This is a coffee talk we're discussing. But for me, why I just was like, yes, 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 what I've been thinking but was struggling to articulate is look, there's some really evil players on the global scale. We could all name, pick your poison about who you would put at the top of your list. But the thing a lot of them have in common is that they are good actors. They are convincing. This is why they get away with it so long. And she is so not. There is such a disconnect between what she says and how she comes across and what she does. And also, there's so much evidence about how much has been changed about her life, about her past, ridiculous things. And I would ask people watching this because it comes into how we so respond and how so many of us, and we're not talking to you, we're including us in this, we can get a little bit of information and think we know everything. And particularly, I think, Brice, this has got very rife because all of us over the last 6 years have been do your own research, do your own research. We have that spouted at us, but people haven't got time to do deep dives into all of this. They haven't necessarily got the skills, they haven't got the time. As you said, everyone's got different priorities. That people have got family issues going on, health issues, financial issues. So the narrative now is we've thrown with so much information, and we know I was on an interview last night, and we were talking about how different our social media feeds were, and how that influences, even at a subconscious level, our decision making. And so many people, we see it in the comments the whole time. They're so sure that they're the ones that are right and that other people are wrong. And there's so much more nuance to it than that.
it's so funny because it remind again, you guys, we have the Traitors finale tonight. Finally, I'm so excited. But the guy that has been like smooth sailing through this, he's said a quote from Mark Twain, and I'm going to paraphrase it. I might get a little bit wrong. It ain't what you don't know that hurts you. It's what you think you know, but you don't.
Mm.
So like that, having that, there's is say that little bit of knowledge could be a dangerous thing.
Yeah.
And I well, it goes back again to sovereignty, right? Like, how do we not fall for this shit? We take our own power back, even if we can't research. We don't just take everything people say at face value. That was the whole, in we have that whole fake news thing, which let's be, that's propaganda. Like that's propaganda, right?
Mm.
That's what fake news is. So who's to say that there aren't truthers who are propagandists? Of
Yeah.
course there are. And it's not like you can't listen to them, but keep an open mind. Don't just what's the difference between hanging on to every single word Anderson Cooper says on CNN and hanging on to every single word some YouTuber says? It's the same thing. And so we have to keep an open mind with everything, and I think too, not taking things so, I think people, and this is a yoga thing, right? Like that people have identified, they put their whole sense of self into being awake.
Yeah.
And pride cometh before the fall. Pride cometh before the fall. You're not awake. You're a human being. You have multiple, we're all nuanced. We all have levels. You're a mother, you're a daughter, you're a father, you're an uncle, you're a teacher, you're a lawyer. You're not just this one thing. And if we pull back a little bit from making that our identity, then we won't be so triggered when it turns out we're wrong. Does that make sense?
Completely. And we all have been wrong and we all will be wrong. And, we don't know. Perhaps Erica Kirk is really evil. Perhaps she is a psychopath. Perhaps she's just not very intelligent and confused. Perhaps she's being misled. There's so many different possibilities go on there. And I'm never going to know because I'm not going to meet her personally.
No.
And when you meet someone personally, trust me, I've had this experience quite a lot over the last few years. Even people on the so-called truth circuit, it's so fantastic when you meet people personally because you get that feel straight away. Completely different to, because acting is a skill that can be learned. Some people are naturally very good at it, but you can learn it and you can manipulate it as well. And I think also why it's so important is, if just say for example, and if you do listen to Candace's first episode, you'll see that she starts diving into her schooling, and very interesting that the first school she went to was in the Looking Glass school, in the building of the Looking Glass, and she was laughing because Candace was talking about Project Looking Glass that I know most of you know about, but how much of our programs, I'm doing a training with Jason Tristoff, it's absolutely fantastic, Freedom from Self-Sabotage, and it's really diving deep into mind control, and it's been a subject that you and I have been really passionate about. That's why we've been doing so much studying of Coles, because every single one of us is under it. And how do you know where you're most under the mind control? Look at your life and look at where it's presenting. So if you are getting really angry in a comment, and I'm just going to use a few examples here, just you can have an opinion first and foremost without being abusive, and secondly separate the message from a messenger. So a classic thing that say when Cathy O'Brien comes on is, if Cathy O'Brien thinks that President Trump is a goodie, we would call it a white hat. You've got some people that agree with her because it fits with their belief system, and other people are so angry and drop everything, what we call throwing the baby out with the bathwater, because she said one thing they disagree with, she rules out everything else. And this is where we've got to be cleverer, because we can't keep moaning about what they are doing to us if we still keep behaving like children. And that is a very, very childlike behavior, to not be able to see the nuance in the situation, to not be able to separate the message from the messenger, and not to actually sit there and rather thinking, why, oh my God, everything she says is wrong, thinking, why is this such a big trigger for me? Why can I just not leave that bit of it? Why am I so convinced that I'm right and she's wrong?
And that as you're saying that, I'm like, that is mind control.
It
Because how
completely.
is that any different than the woke people? How is that any different than the
Mm,
people you claim to be better than? Because if they don't, in the woke brigade, if there's one thing you don't agree with, then all of a sudden you're Hitler. Like they
yeah.
can't. It's the same thing, and that is done intentionally. That is part of that infantilization. We've seen it they've done this on, I mean, Sergey Monas spoke about this. Let's talk about, like, for an example. So I'm from the South, so we don't have a lot of winter sports down here, but hockey, we don't have ice hockey down here. We have
Mm.
field hockey. But the whole story with United States and Canada,
Yeah,
United States beat Canada. And, it's hysterical seeing the memes now because Canada was very arrogant about it. And it's actually kind of, us people from the 1900s, we can take a joke.
yeah,
We can take that. It's funny. It does it. It's haha. It's funny. And what we're seeing we're seeing the outcome of this MK Ultra in this infantilization because I'm seeing so many posts and I don't know anything about hockey. Like I'm from the South, right? Like we don't have snow, so or ice. So unless it's in tea. We put it in
yeah.
tea, ice and tea. But I'm seeing people that, well, Canada should have won the goal because they played a better game. Well, but did they? Because the United States won.
Yeah.
Like, what are y'all talking about? Like, you're trying to justify, and let's be honest, Canada, you got silver. Like, that's a pretty big deal to like win, to be on a podium. Like with a silver medal, that's a pretty big deal. But to see, and the fact that the hockey team went to the White House to shake the president's hand, they asked Jack Hughes, the young kid, who has the famous picture now with the flag with the three teeth out. I saw the funniest meme.
Haven't seen this at all.
You're a mom, Catherine, of kids around that age. And I saw the funniest meme. I'm paraphrasing. It's like every mom in America is like freaking out now because his teeth got knocked out.
Yeah,
How's his mom doing? Like, is she panicked
yeah,
about his teeth? But there's a really big picture. It's gonna be an iconic of him he's sweaty, he's got blood in his mouth, and he's smiling, and his teeth are knocked out, and he has the American flag around his. Growing up, that would have been on the Wheaties box. That would
yeah.
have been on Time magazine. That picture. And they asked Jack about it because so many people are so offended now that they're going to the White House. And he was like, listen, we represent America. It
Mm,
doesn't matter who the president is. We just want
exactly.
for America. And this is a big deal to go. This is a patriotic thing to do to go. If it was Biden, if it was Harris, if it was Obama, Trump, it doesn't matter. We're going to go and shake the president's hand because that's what you do, because we represent America. But people are so are and 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that would have been understood, Catherine, regardless of whether
Oh,
you're a
completely. The complete lack. And also, this whole thing, again, we're like repeating records. Two things
yeah,
can be true. So, yes, sport can be a bread and circus event.
yeah,
Yes, things can be rigged. But equally, you and I both know, Jamie Saleh, we know other Olympic athletes, we know other top athletes, my daughter is one. Um, you equally the discipline and the
mhm,
skills. So many people chuck out top sports stars. It doesn't mean there aren't some bad eggs. There's bad
yeah,
lawyers, there's bad teachers, there's bad street cleaners, there's bad bartenders, name your poison. But the skills that these people have got, they can get away, they could survive in the woods, they could look after
mhm,
themselves, they could chop things, they could climb a tree and get out of danger, because you've got to look at the good things. And anyone who's got the discipline to get to that top level has shown a lot more discipline and a lot more key survival skills as a human, really, than the average person who's sitting there
courage.
watching them.
The
Courage,
courage
huge
it
amount of
takes
courage. Yeah.
to do that. And I in the heart too. We were going to talk about there's a very big another pit with the American hockey team, the US hockey team. One of the guys that was going to was going to play with them was killed in a car accident. He
Oh,
was hit by a drunk driver, leaving his wife was 7 months pregnant, two toddlers behind.
oh,
This happened right before the Olympics. After the guys won the gold, the American team, they were doing their pictures, and the first thing they did is two guys went and grabbed his jersey because they'd already printed his jersey, and they circled the rink with the jersey. Then they took one group picture, and then all of a sudden everybody's like, "What's going on?" Two of the team spoke. They told the photographer, "Hold on, I'm gonna get emotional
yeah,
here."
me too.
Two of the skaters walked off the rink, and you see them talking to someone, and they grab two toddlers. You can see their diapers popping out, right? With America, the wife had come to watch them in Milan. Her husband's just died, but just been killed. This is his team. And they go and get these two toddlers, not the baby's an infant, but the two toddlers, and they skate out and they hold the jersey up, and two of the guys with blood in their mouth
Mm.
holding their teammates' babies and taking the team picture with these babies. And I did see one Canadian did a video about that and said, yeah, it sucks that we lost to the United States, but he said seeing that happen afterwards made it all worth it, and the United States absolutely, just for that alone, deserve the
And look
gold.
how different the life would be. Asking everyone here, and some people would do that, but when you're competing at that level in a team sport, so yes, you can look at all the bad side of sports, and that can be true, but there's a huge amount of good to do something. How many people here can hand on heart say that they've set themselves a goal, like getting to the Olympics, and they've stuck with it to get there? Because we all know that most of the people that get there, it's not just pure talent, it's the work that's put in behind the scenes, the determination, the getting up when you're dropped, when things go wrong. So I think the reason we're talking about this today is because we've got so black and white on both sides of the scale in terms of truther, not truther, know what's going on in the world. We see so many comments of like, well, I've known about that for 20 years. Wake up, everyone. Well, if you've known about it, what have you done about it? Have
Yeah,
you
why are you so
changed your
arrogant?
life? Why as you need the need to be this superior? Because if people, this is why we're still in this stage, is we've got to actually say, okay, what's the lesson learned here? What's going wrong? Because as you've just said, the Canadians should have won, in inverted commas. They paid the better team, they played the better game, but they didn't win.
Keep talking. Sorry.
Just getting that, just doggy alert.
Yeah,
So
he
the
didn't know
whole
we were
point,
recording, so.
yeah, the whole point is like, look at that on the bigger scale. If we know the nefarious side are playing a better game than most of us at the moment, so we can sit there and whinge that they're not playing fair, or we can learn the rules and turn it around. And that takes each and every one of us to do that, not to sit there and wait for someone else to do it for us. A quick note from today's sponsors. We are living in a genuinely toxic environment, and I don't just mean politically or socially, I mean biologically. Heavy metals, aluminium, mercury, and lead, microplastics, chemical residues, they're in our food, our water, our personal care products, and even the air we breathe. And our bodies and our animals' bodies are carrying that load. That's why I've partnered with Masterpiece. This revolutionary formula acts like a magnet, binding and flushing out those heavy metals, microplastics, and toxins powerfully but safely. Masterpiece uses two organic ingredients. One is a toxin binder, skillfully reduced to the nanosize and smaller, and a mineral-rich structured water completing the solution for enhanced bioavailability. The result is a natural, powerful nanotoxin magnet. It binds tightly to heavy metals, forever chemicals, and microplastics. It helps to remove and expel them safely from your body. People using Masterpiece report clearer thinking, increased fertility, better brain function, ease to chronic pain, and deeper sleep. And increased energy is the number one thing I hear back. But what's equally important to me is that our animals are living in this same toxic environment, drinking the same water, walking on treated grass, breathing the same toxic air, and alas, often eating more polluted processed food than we do. So if you're working to reduce your own toxic load, please, please protect them too. Masterpiece has a Masterpiece Pets product specifically designed to support safe detoxification in animals. If we're serious about resilience, we have to think terrain, and that means lowering your toxic load whenever we can. If you'd like to try it, head to masterpiece.health, that's masterpeace.health, and make sure you use code Catherine at checkout for 10% off your whole order. As always, do your own research, make informed decisions, and choose tools that support your biology rather than overwhelm it.
Energy and the right stuff. Like focusing on, I was telling you, like um I'm recording just so you know, so don't walk in naked. So although Catherine's
Well,
numbers might go up, you know.
you know,
So
yeah,
we know like the opening ceremonies to the Olympics are always dodgy. We get that, but we know from Jamie Soleil that a lot of the, which I didn't know until I met her, that a lot of these athletes are considered amateur. They're considered
yeah.
amateur athletes, and they're not. They are tested for the rugs. They are tested for, they're not. And I made that mistake this year because I was like, oh, this is a distraction. And I was telling you, Catherine, that I didn't watch anything. And I follow Tara Lipinski, who is a very famous figure skater. When she's a few years older than me, and she had posted something about congratulating this girl named Alyssa Liu, an American figure skater who won the gold. And something in her post made me very interested. Like she said something about what you've been through, you showed such grace on the ice. And I was like, what? I'm always interested in hearing
Yeah.
stories like that. And so first thing I did was Catherine, I looked up her, and it was the first time I'd ever watched an Olympic sport and gotten emotional. I didn't know anything
Mm.
about the story. I just watched her do her freestyle and I got very emotional. Then I went and looked up her story and I thought, oh my God, I'm such a jerk.
Mm.
This Olympics matters. It's
Mm.
not a distraction. What this little girl, this 20-year-old girl has been through in her life. She, for those who don't know, Alyssa Liu is an American-born young woman of Chinese descent. Her father is a man named Arthur Liu. He was huge in the Tiananmen Square massacre. He was very much a freedom fighter against the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. It got so bad that he had to come to America to seek asylum. Came to America with nothing. Did it right, did it legally, ended up becoming a lawyer, becoming an immigration lawyer, helping other people seek asylum. Loves the United States, ended up having children later in life. And Alyssa, his oldest daughter, ended up being just a very talented skater from a very young age. And so, as any parent would do when your child has that talent and they want to keep going, her father got her, spent all this money, worked extra hard to get her these coaches. At 16 years old, like the age of some of these athletes is unbelievable
Mm.
to me that they're that young. At 16, she got a ticket to Beijing to go to the Olympics in Beijing. And at that point, the CCP, because this was her dad could not go with her, you guys. Like she had to go without her parent because her dad would have been arrested and executed, right? He's an enemy of the state. So she's there without her father and the courage that took for her father to send
Mm.
her there. And the CCP confronted her and basically tried to get her Alyssa, to become a Chinese citizen, to become a naturalized citizen to skate for China, offered her millions of dollars. And at 16, she turned them down because she's an American and she's not, her father had raised her right. Like
Mm.
she knew the story of her father, what had happened, and how important freedom is. And after that, after she turned them down, the CCP stalked her and her father and her siblings for 2 years, literally stalked a child, so much so that the FBI had to get involved. After that, people are like, yeah, she was burnt out. She retired. She was burnt out because she was being stalked. As most 16-year-olds are 16-year-olds are getting their braces off, learning how to drive, talking about cute boys. This child is being stalked by the CCP.
Yeah.
China, who is famous for crimes against humanity. They violate human rights all the time. And because she said no. And so she retired, she took 2 years off of the sport, found herself, decided on her own terms to come back, that she was going to do this herself, told her dad, got her coaches, told her coaches that if she was going to do this again, she was going to be in charge of her choreography. No one was going to tell her what to eat. She wasn't going to diet. She was going to be and she goes, and I don't even care if I ever win a medal again. I don't care. I just want to skate. I
Mm.
want to go out there and I want to celebrate the freedom I have to skate. And her winning number, I've watched it so many times now. On
Mm.
the and Tara Lipinski says it's almost like she's playing on the ice.
Yeah.
She's so relaxed, and that is so worth celebrating for all free countries, not just for the United States, for all people of the free world. And at the end, on the podium, when she's the camera's on her because the United States, because she's the first person, the first place, and she starts smiling and she mouths in the home for the brave, and the audience went crazy and just started. I mean, it got me emotional too. And you see
Yeah.
her dad in the audience, and he's wearing American flags. He's going, "Wow, wow, wow!" Just so happy for this struggle, this generational
Mm.
courage, and that's important. That's not a distraction.
Yeah.
This child was stalked by the CCP. They make people disappear.
Yeah, just terrifying. I mean, so did the CIA, I think, but
Yeah,
but
exactly,
still.
exactly.
But when
But
it suits them, and I think these human stories, we lose so much of the
yeah,
humanness, which you and I have spoken about before. So much of when we're looking and we're talking about, what's going on, where's going to be the next country
mhm,
that goes to war, all these decisions, we forget that there's real people impacted on the ground. When you look at what happened in Mexico, absolutely it can be a false flag event and people were still injured, lost their
yeah,
businesses,
lost their lives.
like their everything. And I just think, look, it's not that we can't solve all the world's problems, but we can so easily get distracted by the message and dismiss the seriousness of things, or the impact on real people and real lives, by just labeling it.
Yeah, absolutely. When people say, "Oh, this is just a psyop, it's not real," I'd be like, "You want to go tell that to the family who just buried
Yeah.
their child?" Like, and that's what I've been saying. Like, going back to Erica Kirk with the psychopathy, that is why I believe the truther community is absolutely and as a whole controlled opposition because they've turned people into psychopaths,
Yeah.
and then you're easier to control that way. And like I said, I feel like I owe every Olympiad an apology for me thinking that this was all a distraction because this was their lives. Yeah, the opening ceremonies are always ritualistic, but that's not the athlete's fault.
Yeah.
They they're just there.
And
They're
so
too
is
busy
it, so
thinking,
is most of Hollywood, so is most of what you watch on the TV, so is most of your makeup, so is most of your fashion. It's everywhere. Our listeners know that. They know they're seeing the signs everywhere, but how much are we looking at our reaction? Like, like I really looked at when I was thinking about the Erica Kirk, and I don't know the answer. I'm not pretending I know the answer at all, but I am looking very much with fresh pairs of eyes and keeping an open mind that this is very complicated. And once you start seeing it, it's like the whole Macron stuff. It's like the whole Obama, it's like the whole Clinton, the web of lies and deceit that are there in so many people who are public figures, is really quite astonishing.
absolutely. And that's not and with the little Olympiad kids, because they're kid, let's be honest, they're kids.
Yeah.
You don't see a lot of 43-year-olds my age competing,
No.
right? They're kids. That's not their fault. And I think that we always talk about the energy, like instead of focusing on the ritualistic stuff, it's being exposed. Why don't we focus on people like Alyssa Liu
Mm.
or people like the American hockey team grabbing their late members' babies, right? And the fact that the mother even, because these are babies, like the fact that the mother even trusted them to
Mm.
skate on the ice holding her children, that she
Mm.
trusted these guys to take it, so they wouldn't drop the kids, you know? Why don't we focus on those stories? Because
Mm.
that's where humanity lies. That's where grace lies. And in all of this darkness, there's these ambers of hope, and they come in the package of Alyssa Liu. They come in the package of the hockey team. They come in, your neighbor down the
Kathy
street who died.
O'Brien,
Kathy O'Brien, yeah,
people here who are watching who have had a terrible diagnosis or gone bankrupt or lost everything or been disconnected from their families and things. There's so many things we can look at and sort of say, okay, like Alyssa Lou, okay, can I start again? Can I
mhm.
reconnect? Can I get back on the game? Can I, not that game? Um,
Kathy,
what
that's us. We're gonna compete in the 2030 Olympics. We're
Yeah,
figure
look at
skaters.
us. I mean, I just, every time I think of that, I think of these parody accounts where you see
Yeah.
these beautiful women doing these yoga moves and these, these dancing, and then you see the fat middle-aged woman, not you, but me, and
Correct.
doing like the weird in their awful bikini that's full. Yeah, I just think of the parody. I think humor's important. Humanities looking beyond the superficial. There's a reason why people that have really been through it and engaged in these systems for so long, like Kathy O'Brien, there's a reason why they don't jump on the bandwagon on certain things. There's a reason why they have a different level of empathy,
Yeah.
because they understand it's not that simple. And also, there's a reason why most of our knowledge, when you look at it, has come from whistleblowers that have been involved in some very, very dark things. But if they've been able to turn their life around, Are we looking at the wrong things? Are we looking at every single situation to sort of say we were right about it, or are we looking to actually change the way our world is? Because they're two completely different things.
To complete humanity. And I think too, like taking all the stress that we've been under, like that fire of stress, is it going to burn you
Mm,
or is it going to fuel you? And again, back to Alyssa Liu, she could have crumbled. I encourage all of you from whatever country you're from, go and watch, type in Alyssa Liu, Liu, and watch her free skate, the winning free skate. It is, I like I said, it's the first time you see her joy. Like
mm,
this girl has been through so much fear and she ran away and then she came back and she said, screw that. I'm gonna live my life and I'm gonna enjoy my life and I'm gonna share my love of skating with the world.
mm.
And another, Catherine, the little Japanese girl who's 17, a child, won the bronze. And they're all sitting there, and this little 17, it makes me emotional too. This little 17-year-old girl from Japan realize she thinks she comes in fourth, but then she realizes that she actually placed on the podium. And Alyssa Liu got up from her seat, ran over to her in her ice skates and started hugging her and cheering her on and like turned her arms to the crowd. Like to be that, it makes me emotional. Like what we
Yeah.
can learn from that behavior of a 20-year-old. Like the fact that she's been through more stress than most of us will ever go through. She had her darkness, she retired, she ran away, and she said, screw that. You're not gonna burn me. I'm gonna love my life. I'm gonna celebrate my talent. I'm gonna share it with the world, and I'm gonna celebrate other people's talents too, because that joy is freedom. And that's what we're looking for, is freedom. That's all we're looking for, right? Is freedom. So if this whole, yes, we get mad about we want
Mm.
all those people arrested. We want them taken down. But if we harbor in that anger, they win. They win.
And all we're doing is staying stuck in the past. And
Yes.
it doesn't mean that there's not really important lessons to learn about the past. There are. How many we really learn depends on how much we actually get told that's the truth, but or
Right.
find
Right.
out that's truth. But there are always really good lessons either way. But equally, it's like we're so drawn away from the present moment. And that is so disastrous to us, to each and every one listening. And a lot of people, if you're feeling, and we all do it, if you're feeling that you're going to react in a really negative way to someone, you're going to put your frustration onto someone because you're shooting the messenger, not the message, and not looking at, okay, why do I feel like this? And it's because your nervous system is dysregulated. We get that.
Yeah.
That's all by design. We know there's so many reasons for that, but there's a huge difference between understanding that and just projecting your anger on other people, because we see this again all the time on social media. Is you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If you give an opinion, you're called being really arrogant and you think you know it all, and if you don't give an opinion, you're not doing anything, and why aren't you standing up and why aren't you saying something? But the people who are saying that are not the ones on the screen. They're the ones who are sitting there looking at the screen. And that doesn't mean that that's more important to be on the screen, but we each need to look. I had this discussion with a relative the other day, and they were moaning about a situation in the UK where one of the towns has been really overrun with all the young fighting age
Mm.
immigrants with a very different culture to what we've got. And I said, look, what are you doing about it? I said, I'm doing my bit. I'm talking about all
Yeah.
this stuff. I'm ridiculed. I'm doing, but you've got to pick what you're going to do, and it will be different. But we've all got to pick, what are we going to do to make our lives better and those around us? Because we know that we don't want to be around people that are constantly finger pointing all the time. That doesn't get us anywhere. It just closes people off. If we want more people to so-called wake up and change how they're living in the world, we have to be the type of person that's dropping that judgment and just being a little bit more empathetic about where people are at, and taking, it's all about putting that mirror up to yourself and saying, where am I? And both of us started off camera today, saying, oh my God, I've realized this. And be
Mhm.
open, and it's absolutely fine. We all will have realizations. We'll all be like, oh my God, I cocked up there, and lesson learnt.
Let's laugh about it. Just laugh about it. Well, I screwed up
Yeah.
again. I'm a human, and that's the thing too. I would say, as we've learned a lot with Candace, with the psychology, if And that's something, aw.
You're so gorgeous.
Um, if you are if you agree with somebody, but one thing they say you don't agree with, and it triggers you to like dismiss that person completely, please consider that that might be done intentionally to you, because that's
Yeah.
exactly what the woke people do. So just maybe consider, because I find myself sometimes doing that, and I have to go, hold on,
Mm.
self-reflection. It's fine. Listen, Todd loves oranges. I can't stand oranges.
Oh, I love them. Oh.
Oh, you and Todd would be fine.
Mm.
For some reason, or like opinions are like that though, or we don't think that
Mm.
matters, but it's just an opinion, right? Like it's just an opinion. So what if someone thinks Trump is good and someone thinks Trump is bad? We're both camps are looking for a more prosperous future to happen, and that's the most important thing, right? Is that our intentions are the same. And so I would definitely, and it's our audience is really cool. They're a
Yeah.
lot like us. But if I'm going to be checking that with myself. I realized that I disregarded human life by thinking that the Olympics were a distraction. That was my fault. I was completely in the wrong for that. I should not have believed that. Congratulations to all the athletes all over the world. Even if you didn't place, or
Yeah.
to make it that far is a true testament to human resilience and strength. And so for any athletes wherever you are in the world, congratulations. And I am so proud of your hard work. You're an inspiration regardless of what country you're from. You are an
Mm.
inspiration to all of us mere mortals. Y'all's warm-ups for practice are like our full workouts. So
Yeah.
us mere mortals can learn a lot from you guys. And so I apologize for not taking it seriously and being dismissive of
Yeah.
it. I apologize, because that was not okay. And so if I can say that, I think we all can take time to say where we're wrong. If something is a psyop, who cares? Life is still being lost. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
Life is still being lost. And are
And
you
you
going to
can
dismiss?
realise it is important to realise it's a psyop. That is great. If you've got to that stage where you can spot them, that's going to be so valuable to you, to your survival, and also to pass that on in an open way. I had a conversation with my sister last week. It was so funny. Because do you remember quite a few years ago when it came out about the Wayfair furniture and being linked to child trafficking?
Yeah.
And I tried telling my sisters about it, and they ridiculed me so badly. They were like, "This is absolutely ridiculous. You're completely lost the plot now." I mean, they thought I had anyway. And sure enough, you get the emails out, and there's loads of information out there that
Right.
implies it's definitely true. So I went back and I said to my sister, I said, "Look," I said, "I'm going to find these for you just to have a look." And in fairness, she sort of said, "Well, it did sound so ridiculous, unbelievable." And I said, "But life is, there is, this is the thing,
Oh,
is
trust me, darling. That's just it gets worse.
it gets worse,
It
and
gets
now, of
worse.
course, they're coming out with the alien disclosure,
Yeah.
which we've been talking about for ages. And again, Project Blue Bean is one side of the equation. I mean, for me, for one, I completely think that there's loads of them already here. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, and it
I
all
haven't
matters,
seen
right? Like
them.
it all matters. Disclosure of aliens,
Yeah,
they all matter. It's the
yeah.
one doesn't trump the other as far as like us being awake to reality. I will say too, I watched a Sean Atwood and Andrew Gold interview yesterday
Oh,
while I was
yes,
cleaning.
I've.
I don't know if it was an old one, or but I actually really like watching them. I
Yeah,
love both of them, but Andrew's way more like skeptical,
right.
and they go out to dinner all the time and debate ideas.
Yeah.
And Andrew actually said, mad respect to you, Andrew, because he said he had a hard time believing that there was an island where the
Mm,
elite go and their PDF
mm,
files, right? That he just couldn't believe that. And now he said, I was wrong.
yeah.
It happened. And so he even said, even though some of this other thing is hard for me to accept, I have to admit that I'm limited. Like I need to be more appreciative of other people's ideas. So the fact that he on his big ass platform said, I was wrong and I apologize for being wrong. This is terrible. We all need to take a lesson from that and be able to have friends. I love the Andrew Sean Atwood
Oh,
call to
it's just
actions.
fantastic because
Yeah.
Andrew Gold helped build Sean's platform, and Sean has got a checkered past. He's been in jail, and he's
Mhm.
just one of the most amazing people. I just love the fact you can see the joy in all his work. He doesn't take himself too seriously, but he's incredibly knowledgeable. And I think this is what is so important to say that there's a big difference between what we're saying and dropping your boundaries. You can hold a boundary with respect.
Yeah.
And that is
Yes.
absolutely important for each and every one of you, and us. And what you hope to do is just learn from it. And a lot of this stuff does sound completely unbelievable, and I can completely understand why my sister thought it was absolutely ridiculous what I was saying. But the difference is now some of this is coming out. There'll be other little things that will shift, and so, subconsciously it will be like, okay, I wonder what else she's been telling me, like
Right.
some of the
Right.
pharmaceutical product stuff. I wonder whether some of that is true or not. And we all do it at our own time. We've all got our different priorities of what we believe and what we don't believe, and that's what makes the world
That's
fun,
what makes us
basically.
grow. That's what makes us
Yeah,
grow. And I love how you said that with boundaries. I heard a therapist say this on some a while ago, and I've loved it. When you're creating boundaries, you have to also include the other person's humanity. So
yeah,
if your boundaries are destroying somebody else's humanities, that's not a boundary, that's abuse.
yeah.
So when you create boundaries, you have to also respect the other person's humanity. And so I'll ask that for people in the comment section that want to abuse Catherine and me. Are you setting boundaries, but also observing our humanity? Because we're observing your humanity. We don't care that we have different opinions from people in the comment section. We encourage that. And so are you, because that doesn't make you a good person. It doesn't matter. You can know every conspiracy in the world, but if you treat people terribly, you're not a good person. Knowledge doesn't make you a good person. Your character does. And
Yeah,
so
I
I
had this week with someone who wanted some free advice again, and was on a very different wavelength to me. And I was really polite in my response, and yet they came back really abusively, and then sort of said, "Well, that's what I am. I'm just a person who speaks the truth." And it's like, no, you're not the person
no,
that
you're
speaks the truth.
abusive.
You're just really rude and you're abusive. And
Hmm.
I always forget the phrase. You'll know what it was, where this sort of where you pretend that you're doing a person. So she pretends she's doing me a favor by giving me honest feedback, which was just abuse,
That's
and that I should be
manipulation. Yeah.
grateful to it. And no, absolutely no. So I just said to this person, no, we're not aligned. Go and find someone who is aligned. It was a bit hysterical because but then equally, I there's a big but for me. I'm not dismissing this person as a bad person, quite the opposite, because they do some amazing things in his work. And I've got an interview that I'll probably be putting up next week, where the next stage of and this is coming out all over, in fact about how we've all got nanotechnology inside of us that is remotely controllable. And Trump has just released a new, I think it's an executive order or something, I forget the official term, to say that he's speeding up the rollout of 5G. And he literally, sorry, I'll just bring up this picture because it's important
Yeah.
for people to know. And this is relevant to the discussion. I just took a screenshot of it. I'm just going to send a picture, bring up the picture. So when people think, so just like my sister thinking this is absolutely ridiculous, President Trump has recently signed a directive to accelerate 6G deployment with a stated goal to operate implantable technologies, which is that involves AI brain implant known as a biological interface system, cortex system. It's by all your top universities. Now, it's not all America. We're doing it too. It's always us, the Brits, to blame as well. But in all seriousness, so when we talk about this nanotechnology that's in all of us, you don't have to have had the vaccine, although you'll have a lot more of it if you have. And it's not blame because we've all got it in us. I've been tested, I've got it in me, although I'm on an amazing stuff that's brought it down dramatically, the masterpiece. But this is the thing, is it sounds ridiculous and people get accused of scaremongering, but if we don't take action now, there's a solution out there that can largely protect you, and lots of people are looking for other solutions as well. It's not scaremongering, it's put your safety belt on.
It's
If you
not.
know about it, pre-warned is pre-armed. If you know about it, you don't have to get scared. So I'm not scared about it, but I am frantically telling everyone, look, for goodness sake, take some action now. And
Knowledge is power, knowledge protects.
yeah, it's so important because these things are going on, whether we can moan about it or we can do something about it. They're two
And
very
Sergey
different
Monast,
things.
we got to shout out Sergey, the late Sergey Monast. He spoke
Oh,
about this. He spoke about technology that was going to start to control the way we think.
yeah,
It's part of it's actually part of Project Bluebeam. Project Bluebeam is a lot
completely.
bigger than just holograms in the sky. There's a lot of, I would highly, guys, I have it on my Substack because they can't put it here on the YouTube. But if you go to my Substack, I have all those documents from Sergey
I'll put
Monast.
the
He
link
spoke
below.
about,
I'll put the link below to
yeah,
subject. And the reason I'm saying this is when I got this message through, this is how I've changed very recently, actually, because instead of saying, of labeling this person, I'm like, do you know what? She is being attacked by people. We have got these implants. They are controlling our thoughts and our behavior. So it's a completely different compassion. Now, I can still have a boundary that says, no, I'm not going to accept being spoken to like that, with a lot of empathy and understanding for what is going on in that situation. And as this you'll see in my interview that airs next week, please, I'll again get on both our substats because then you'll get notified, even if
yeah,
they don't like pushing content like this out. But how
yeah.
many people that have got so-called mental health issues is not them, it's these implants, because these implants, anyone who's using wireless headphones, Apple Watches, pods in there, there's patents you can look out for that the pod things you put in your ears that I would never have. That they can literally, it's not a one way, they're not just putting information into your mind, they're reading it. This technology has existed for years. My hearing aids that are in there, they're probably picking up all sorts from there. I mean, good luck interpreting my dreams. Weird or what? But
Do you
so
think the
having
MI6,
empathy for why
the
people are there, why people are responding in a way is really, really important.
Catherine, your MI6 watcher is probably like, oh shit, what's she doing?
What's she doing now? They're like, oh
At
my
least you're
God.
giving him a show.
I know. We provide
Um,
entertainment. So
I know.
any final words for you on this week? What?
Don't forget your humanity. Just in this growing awakening, every human life matters. And if you think your issue, like you, if you're so, trust me, we all want the people on the Epstein emails to be arrested ASAP. All of us, not one person doesn't want that. We all want that. But in the meantime, we have other things going on and it affects other human lives. And we have to, if we're so selfish that we're going to discredit or disregard other experiences, then we're no better than the people we claim to be fighting against. And so we can hold two things. We can hold our want for this to happen, but also honor other human life. And just because something might be a psyop does not mean that other people weren't affected. And we can still mourn and grieve for people's lives who were affected by this particular show, we'll say, whatever they're doing.
Mm,
My heart goes out to everybody in Mexico, the locals and the
yeah.
tourists. That must be terrifying. And regardless of who's responsible for it or why it's happening, I can't
It's
imagine
still
how it's
terrifying
still
and it still
terrifying.
shows how
Yeah.
vulnerable. I so love that you say that. And my final message is all of us, wherever we're watching for, anything we can do. Like in the UK, we call them MPs, members of parliament. In different countries, you've all got different names for who your so-called congressmen, decision makers are. It's not saying that politics is the answer, but at the moment, with the systems we've got, anyone that can make sure they write, speak, and make it really clear that every single one of our citizens is against going into any other wars.
Oh, and also, I gotta send you this, Catherine. We can do that, and I'm sure most countries in the West are the same. We have local level where you can go in there and
Yeah,
actually speak to your local
exactly.
council. And there's a video of a mom, and she walks up and she sits there and she goes, "I'm just gonna assume all of you are PDF
Yeah,
files because you're not stopping this.
yeah,
And if you're not stopping it, you're obviously supporting it. So I'm gonna say you're obvious. It's a brilliant the way, and the whole audience starts cheering
yeah.
and all the people that all of a sudden get this panic looked. You can go to your local council and start just being rude. Just be like, why isn't this taken care of in the school system?
We've got
Let's
to all do it, every single one of us. And that's completely different from thinking politics in the answer. I don't, but it's what we've got at the moment. And we have seen time and time again, UK, with the protest march, which were millions of us, we did stop a lot of the lockdown. We did bugger up a lot of their plans. Not all of them, not enough, but a lot.
Yep.
Same with the digital ID. We've slowed it down. We haven't stopped it. We all know it's coming in, but we're doing something. So do something, because the one thing I would think that virtually every single person watching this is the last thing any of us needs is the loose harvesting of another war. And it's like, if you look at on a biological level, we have something called apoptosis, which is cell suicide, and any person of whatever country being sent off to war, that's like societal self-suicide. You're sacrificing those people for their agenda. So those big things matter, and if any of us can put pressure to stop that happening, we need to do it now. That's me off my soapbox. Yeah.
Can I make one request, Catherine?
Yes.
For our coffee chats, I want to know, I know this is kind of off topic, if we have anybody in our audience that is part of the Alberta Freedom. Have you seen this, Catherine?
No.
Alberta is about to pull away from, become its own country.
Right.
October 19th, 2026, they're going through the Congress of voting. And I would love, first of all, we support you in that. Like, they're tired of Canada wasting their money. A lot of the money comes from Alberta, and they're just going to be their own country. And I believe the United States has said they'll back Alberta if they, because Canada apparently has threatened to invade. How can you be afraid of a government that has minstrel stuff in the men's bathroom? I don't know, but the United States is like, we'll back you, Alberta. If they invade you, we'll be there to protect you. But I would love it if we have anybody from Alberta watching that's part of that, so that we can get the story straight from you versus what we're seeing on social media.
I'd love that.
I love your governor, whatever you guys call premier governor. She's a badass. Like the things I've heard, she's just common sense. Like, she's common sense, right? And so I would love it if you guys want to reach out to either me or Catherine. I don't,
Yeah.
My email is Esoteric Atlanta, just my channel name at gmail.com. Just let us know.
My email will below. So I'm going to put both our contact emails, both our Substacks. Please get on our Substacks. Let us know your thoughts about all this now, because that's an absolutely brilliant idea. And share ideas in the comment. Look, you absolutely do not have to agree with us about anything, but please be respectful to other people in the comments. Let's share respectful grown-up conversations and different views, so we can all learn from each other, not just call each other names.
Yeah, remember their humanity, guys.
Love it. Thanks so much. Next week we will be back live on Esoteric Atlanta. Links will be below, so come join us there. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. And if you feel inspired, please do share with your friends and family. This helps us spread the word, and also helps me encourage some exciting new guests to take part in this podcast. And above all, stay curious and stay free.